Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic Monday.
It is a fantastic Monday. Thanksgiving Monday.
It's Thanksgiving week Monday for those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving.
To the two in Alaska that are allowed to.
No, we have listeners in the UK. We've got listeners in Australia. We've got listeners all over the place.
It's locked in.
I know, but I don't know if they celebrate Thanksgiving like we do. They probably didn't have.
Why not? No, they would not.
Oh, they
Yeah.
would not. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To hear. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, you guys. This is already starting out great, isn't it? I'm Psychic Medium Jaime.
I just don't want to talk about it. I'm not adding my name to this conversation.
I need you to.
Spiritwalker Nicole.
Thank you. And we are Shades of Spirit, though, again, it might only be one shade next week. We never know. She might get a timeout on the microphone. Anyway, I'm excited for today, like I'm excited every week, because there isn't a topic that we discuss that doesn't hit home to one of us in one way or another. So, with that being said, this one hits home for me on multiple levels. Not only my own experience, Spiritwalker Nicole's experiences. I have 3 children, so their experiences, and then the amount of kids out in the world who definitely have gifts, whether they be psychic gifts, healing gifts, mediumship gifts, all of the above. So, with our topic today, we're going to be bringing in at segment 2 a good friend of ours, Donna, and her son, Maki. Maki is 9. And they're going to discuss a little bit how they navigate through the world of a 9-year-old who's had these gifts his whole life and has been evolving and growing them. But having a parent that, even though she may not have all the answers, is going to be able to help him navigate and find the answers in order to let him know that it's okay to connect with spirit, that there is nothing to fear. When we feel things that might be fearful come in, we are equipped to handle them by being empowered in their own skin.
And the thing I like about Maki is that, like, he's so open, and he says it like it is. If he sees something, he is like, oh, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm feeling. And it's like, it's kind of almost weird to see a kid like that has never been told that it's not real, that it's like a dream. He's imagining it. They have like really, like you said, even though she doesn't really know all the answers, she's let him just grow and evolve, and that's rare in this world, because usually somewhere, like in school, a teacher, a friend, something will start sort of, I don't want to say shaming them, but just sort of closing that, shutting that light down just a little bit. And that hasn't happened with him.
No, not at all. And I do believe that with our generation, so I'm speaking of those of us in the, mid 30s, sometimes a little bit younger, to about the 50s now and on, are actually really stepping into our own empowerment with spirit. And I believe, and what I've been told from my spirit team, this is from my perspective, is that we are being opened up. And it's not like our parents. So for me, it was a lot of my parents dismissing what I saw and me not understanding and having to go to someone else to help them sort out my gifts and explain how to work with them. But they were pretty closed off at the idea of psychics or mediums, and especially why would a kid have that ability? And now so many of us are waking up. I mean, we have got so many mediumship students. We have so many Reiki students within this age range who are now becoming empowered to be able to help kids out, to be able to help their grandkids out, which is an amazing thing for us to be able to do. Since we're still in Angelic Connection Month, this was like the perfect topic, because you couldn't get any more angelic than kids and that energy connecting with the divine. When we took our course in hypnotherapy, which I found really fascinating, was that we did a timeline regression. We were really working on those. And I really like doing those with people as well, because it really puts us into a different space to be able to find the source of what we're inquiring about. I went back to about age 3 to 4, and my mom had just had my brother, and he is about 4 years younger than me, obviously. And she had postpartum Graves' disease, and that affects your thyroid. And that was pretty much postpartum, right after the delivery. She started having symptoms and signs. Well, it took him a little while to figure it out. I knew that things weren't the way they were supposed to be in the family. Like, there's a lot of kind of hustling and bustling. There were a lot of like trying to get things moved. My aunt was always with us. My grandmothers were always with us. So I learned just to stay out of the way. And I would just go in and retreat in my room. That's the first time I realized I met my spirit guides, that they all came in and they worked with me through that process. And then they went and did their own thing because it wasn't time for them to all be with me at that particular moment. And a little while later, probably at 5 to 6, when I started seeing these darker, lower level energies, I was taken like in the movie Scrooge. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. And I had someone standing next to me, which I'm assuming is my guardian angel, but she wasn't in her form because she just wanted me to see the picture. So I'm standing outside just like Scrooge was, and I was watching the entire scene unfold, and it gives me the chills still to this day of that little tiny individual coming in, black mass, super scary, and all of a sudden I can see her behind me where she stands now. And the lights were huge. It was bright white and yellow light coming in, and she was telling me that I was in control, not to fear, that she would always be with me. And I didn't connect with her again until my late 30s. Isn't that crazy that we can have that experience and just knowing that I could progress in this way? So by the time I hit my early 20s, I was taking classes and working with different mediums who could help grow and develop. And I didn't have the fear like I did when as a child. And then when I hit 40, I really became completely empowered and realized that I was the one in control and the fear left. And that's where we're at today. But these kids don't always have that option.
Well, you didn't either. I mean, your
No.
family was not into this stuff, and it was sort of like what I was talking about a minute ago. Like
Hmm.
you're imagining it, it's just the shadows or whatever. So it took you a while to get back to no, that's not right.
That's not going to happen. But it is, and I feel like I know I'm blessed. I know I'm honored. I also know each and every one of you we all have psychic abilities, which is why we like coaching classes. We like being in groups. We like to also do one on one sessions to get you to be re empowered with just that connection. But the mediumship side as well is very powerful. And I like that that's where Maki is moving into, is being more comfortable with quote unquote the dead people around him. He may not know how to sort that information out or how to get to really who is there, but he sees spirit and he has for a very long time. Donna and Maki came to an event, God, that was probably about 2 years ago that we were holding. Uh, I love doing events. I love interacting with people. One day we will all be able to do that again. And we actually have a location pretty much sealed that's going to be extremely cool because it's allegedly haunted as well to be able to do our live events again. But Maki and Donna came. And so I got a huge pull to go to Maki. And I've never read a child the way that I read him. So, of course, I approached Donna, even though we're friends, and said, "Hey, is it okay if I read Maki?" And she said, "Of course." And it gets me emotional because I remember his face as I was bringing in his grandmother. And I was checking out the way he was responding, which is like me reading any adult who had just missed that person so very, very much. And she took us through, like, she was in the clouds and there was this music and, connecting with his roots and the way that he dances and all of this stuff that we were putting together. And he just bursted out into tears and gave me a hug. And it was just like he was about 7 at that point. To feel that love and that connection was absolutely amazing. And I had no idea. Like, he kept leaning over and whispering things to Donna, and I just kept doing the reading. And I think pretty much there was no dry eye in that entire room for that event. Just watching him connect and know that actually he's been connecting with her since she passed, which was amazing, just for all of that validation for him, along with myself, that, as long as we have permission from the parents and as long as we're working with them and the child, that children can also get these messages. And what I love and we'll discuss in the upcoming segments is that if we really listen to our children, we're going to get messages from them. So,
And kids, I mean, they pay attention. Like even, if you're in there getting a reading and stuff and you think your kid's not like got one ear on that, and they listen, and so of course they would want a reading, especially if you're super open to it. And it's yeah, their spirit guides and angels show up for them just like they do for us. There's not an exception because they haven't been here as long as we have.
exactly. So we are going to take a quick break because I can't wait to bring Donna and Maki on. You guys can remember, maybe I'll remind you, remember
You
to
can remember.
follow us on Shades of Spirit.
And YouTube, you can subscribe.
Yep, that's YouTube. If somebody wants to channel write our meditation for November, It would be an angelic connection meditation.
Wow.
That will be put out by the end of November because apparently we can't get it together enough to actually record them at the beginning of the months. But there will be a connection, a way for you to really get down and connect with your angels. We've got probably 4 or 5 meditations on our YouTube. We channel them, you guys. So we actually allow our spirit teams to come through, or angels or whoever wants to get the message across, and we write them out and then we record them. And our producers over at Transformation Talk Radio, Olivia, is just fantastic at putting the music together with it and putting it out there for you guys. So if you're looking for some meditations anywhere in that 5 to 6 minute range, we have those available there. We will have the Eye of Soul videos. I have Soul show that I did last Thursday. I want to thank all of you for tuning in for that as well. I'll be on again next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Those will all be on YouTube. So you're going to have Shades and Eye of Soul on YouTube, on our Facebook page. Let's go to break so that we can bring them on. Without any further ado. So we will see you quickly after this break. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm Psychic Medium Jaime.
Spiritwalker Nicole.
We always dance it in. I like it.
No, not always. It has to be the right vibe.
Did you like this vibe?
I did. The one coming in.
Yeah. Olivia, we like that vibe.
Our opening.
Yeah, you just don't want to hear your own voice.
No, I don't.
We are honored today to be able to speak with Donna and Maki. Donna is actually the reason that Spiritwalker Nicole and I met a few years back. We're still deciding if we're going to thank her for that or not. But no, in all reality, it just was kismet, the way all of this came together and how we started working together and how we have such just fantastic people in our lives to support us on this journey as well. And Donna's definitely been at the forefront along with her sister. Her entire family have just been so welcoming and so supportive of us. So we're excited to bring you guys on because you guys are a little bit different than a lot of mother sons, let me tell you. So with that validated, I'm just going to validate myself. That's all there is to it today. I don't know. It's Monday. It's vacation. Woo! Yeah. With having your reading and being so validated and so connected. And I was telling them at our break, I go, your grandmother is with us for this show. Like I can feel that energy coming through. I want us to ask Maki some questions first. Maki, you up for it? Yeah? All right. Cool. So a lot of kids, Maki, don't have the opportunity to be able to work and talk with spirit. Sometimes it's because their parents don't understand or they can't see what's going on around them, or maybe they just don't have, the knowledge of how to help kids during that. So for you, can you tell everyone, when was the first time you remember seeing or talking to a spirit?
It has to be around when I was 2 years old. We were at a barbecue one time and I just felt it, and then I heard someone talking, but I didn't see anyone.
So the first thing you do is you could feel them and you could hear them talking, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you weren't seeing them yet. That's amazing. And were you scared or did you go talk to your mom?
I was scared.
A little scared, huh? That's a little different when you can't see someone talking. That's one of the first things we notice with kids when we're working with them is that they feel. And I know from my experience that it wasn't that I saw initially, it was that I could feel stuff around me. And then all of a sudden they started coming to me where I could see them with my physical eyes.
And then sometimes it's about the reactions that they get from their parents or siblings when they say, oh, I saw this and I heard or I felt this, and then they freak out. And then they're like, oh, maybe I should be freaking out too.
Yep. So then after that, you started kind of talking to spirit, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Maki, how do you communicate with spirit now? Now that you're older, now that you're hopefully not scared, you said when it first happened, you felt it and you heard them. How do you communicate with them now? Do you see them, feel them, hear them? How is it with you?
Well, it's kind of weird because I see different colors for different people, and it's like an outline that goes throughout their body. So I could see that their body's human, and there's a color outline that goes around them.
Is that new, or have you always seen them like that?
I've always seen them like that.
Okay. Do you I know like is it your grandma that comes and talks to you a lot?
Yep.
Do you talk to her? Like do you have a conversation with her or how does that work?
Uh, yeah, I do have a conversation with her.
And you can hear her, she can hear you. Now, are you seeing her now, or do you just know by feeling that that's her?
Well, she has a color, and it's yellow, and it's really bright.
I love it. So do you think maybe you're seeing auras, the energy of someone around? I think so. It's so cool how you can see colors. Because you know what? I can't see colors. When I look at people, I don't see that at all. Do you see that with people that are alive?
Just like a teeny bit.
Yeah. That'll be something cool for us maybe to work on, is being able to have you see auras for people that are alive as well, because you're going to be a very natural healer. And that's going to be something that you can also work with, which would be really cool. I like it, you guys. I'm already planning out Maki's next session. I'm like, all right,
Donna.
auras.
We'll let you know what we decide to do, Donna.
Okay.
So you know what
Any
I
other
thought
question?
was funny was he told me.
Go ahead.
No, it's interesting because he always talks about colors. He says that he knows who's coming by the colors that show up first. And I always thought that was interesting.
Absolutely, because that's definitely, it's all energy. That's the energetic the energetic component of us, is that sometimes, and there's actually a lot of people that can see music in colors. They can see, as a teacher yourself, there are those, the way that they process is different. And there's not many people that will literally see it in colors, which just makes you so unique, Maki, and that you're able to talk about it and you're not afraid of it anymore is fantastic. So for Donna, when did you notice that Maki was gifted?
Probably as soon as he could start talking. So he would tell me when he started talking, he would tell me these weird stories. And when I say weird stories, it was like he would tell me about people in his present, but he would talk about them as though they were in his past. So I was just kind of listening to him, and then I realized he's talking about past life stuff. And when he was really little, he used to tell me these stories all the time, like he would remember them. And it felt like ever since he started school, that kind of like dissipated a little bit because I feel like he's exposed to so much more. But when he was younger, he would tell me stories all the time, and I knew he wasn't telling me stories. It was like even the first time that my sister met him in the hospital, we were still in the hospital after he was born, and I looked at him, and when he opened his eyes, I was like, this is not a little kid. I mean, it's a baby, but his eyes were like this super old soul. And the first time my sister saw him, is this a family show? my sister's my sister's words to me were like, oh shit, he used to be my dad. That was her first words that she said about him when she met him in the hospital after him being born. So I guess I just knew from the time he was born that he was different.
Now, how have you handled and encouraged that spirit empowerment within him, within your household?
Well, for us, it was never like a big deal. Like I don't believe in imaginary friends because having grown up in it myself, it was like I knew more than likely the imaginary friend was actually real, having experienced it myself. So it's like every time he would talk about stuff like that, I was like, oh, okay. It was just like I would talk to him as though he was talking to a real person. So it's like I never discouraged him, like, oh, don't talk about that stuff. It was always like, oh, okay. And, just encouraging him to talk about it.
So going forward, like Donna, what are your plans for encouraging his spiritual development? What like he's only going to get, as he gets older, it's only going to be stronger, I think, with him, and he's going to be doing more and more things. Do you have like a game plan, or is it like a day by day situation?
With him, it's kind of like a day by day situation, but we've talked about it too. His dad was really sick when he was really young, and it was funny because his dad would tell me, can you bring Maki over? Because Maki's my medicine. And he was really little. God, I want to say he was like 2, 3 at the time, but he would intuitively put his hands on his dad's chest, and his dad was having problems with his lungs. His dad had a double lung transplant, but he already knew intuitively at 2 and 3 to put his hands there. So he and I have talked about it, and I really want to teach him, like, I've talked, like, you know what, do you want to learn Reiki? Like, you've got this intuitively already, like, you know how to do this stuff, but let's just put more into it, like formal training. So I've talked to him about doing that with him and the other 2 kids.
I love it. I love it. So speaking of the healing aspect, before we go to break, Maki, I see you have some things behind you, sir. What are those? Because I have one of these in here, and I have one for myself. Maki makes this fabulous, fabulous jewelry. He uses stones and crystals. This is Spiritwalker Nicole's. He picked out a tiger's eye one. On the back, it's a lion's, tiger's eye, tigers and bears. So did you come up with this name, Maki, for Spiritwalker, for your line here, tigers and bears with the tiger's eye?
Want to say who that's named after?
It's named after my uncle because he was in a TV show and he beat a bear in a battle.
So this one is a very strong and powerful stone, huh? And then you even put red, yellow, and blue tiger's eye. So on the back of their business cards, they've put those on there. And Donna has, really been a support for him because it's about focusing his energy that he has. It's about the connection and working with the crystals and the stones. Having the process of actually making these is fantastic. But what we did is we actually had him pick them out intuitively for us. And I had a jade and she had the tiger's eye, which was fabulous for what we both needed at that particular time. But they're making these and he's selling these because Maki is also his own entrepreneur, you guys. So we're going to put up the information on the website for Shades of Spirit, along with the information on how you can get a hold of them. But right now, how can they get a hold of you? You guys have a Facebook page that they can buy these bracelets from you for? Okay, what is it? Let's sell it, man. You got to sell your bracelets.
He's nervous. So he's actually, Max has AD on top of everything else. He has ADHD and dyslexia. So his store is called The Look Shop, but the P is actually a Q because that's the way he saw it at the time. And he's on Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram, and how do you spell it? So they know again.
LOOKSHP OQ.
LOOKSHOQ, yeah? And Facebook, Instagram, you guys can purchase these. They do mail them out as well. They package them. You guys will know what you're getting. I want to thank you guys so much. You were just fantastic, Maki. I can't wait to keep working with you guys as well. Coming up next in the next episodes, we will talk about workshops and classes we've done with kids.
Segment. It's still a segment.
Why do I do that every time? Anywho, we want to thank you guys for joining us. We will definitely have them back on again for another kids episode to continue helping empower kids and for parents to understand how they can work with their children in a safe environment. So we will see you guys all after this break. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Maki. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining Shades of Spirit with our in-depth talk on working with spiritually gifted kids.
Why do you clap us back in sometimes?
Woo! I don't know. I am feeling it today.
I was thinking about what Donna said. What would you do if you're like sitting there, like trying to feed your kid Cheerios or whatever one morning, and he starts talking about past lives that he's had with, I'd be like, what is in these Cheerios, young man?
It's an everyday occurrence.
I know.
So I know
Do you just get used to that, or?
You know what? That's kind of the thing. You kind of either buy into it or you don't. So I've got 3 kids ranging from 17 to 11. And I can tell you that my 17-year-old, my oldest, has always been able to see lower vibrational energies. there's a reason why it stays within the family. A lot of times we have family patterns when it does go back into past lives. And when my dad finally told me at age 40, oh, yeah, both your grandmothers were psychics, I knew one was a little bit on that lower level realm and the other one was on that higher level realm. But my daughter, the fear was just too much. And I think it's because, oh, I know it's because I was opening up at the same time that she was probably age 2 to 3 to 4. And there would be something super scary in the corner of her bedroom, and she wouldn't sleep alone. So my first thing is if you guys have questions, throw them up in the chat box about your own experiences, maybe how to navigate through certain situations, and we will definitely touch on that as well for the last half of our show. But I really never ever said to her, no, just go back and sleep in your room. Now, I'm not telling you guys how to parent your children. This is what worked for us. But it's also because I knew that there was a weird feeling in the corner of that bedroom. Well, when we moved out a few years later, we had someone help us, and he actually has a grandmother who does this down in Tijuana, and she's very connected, and so is he. But at the time, no one talked about it. So when he actually walked past her bedroom to head to the master bedroom to start moving that stuff out, he took a quick glance in there and looked away, and their dad was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, nothing." Right? Two guys out there, like, they're not going to talk about spirit stuff. And so when they walked back, he kind of stopped and looked in, and their dad said, "What?" And he goes, "Okay, this is going to sound crazy, man, but did anybody die in this house?" Right? And can you imagine two guys over there, like, yeah, let's move this big, heavy dresser now, like standing there looking in this bedroom. And sure enough, he says, "There's something weird over there. It's a dark mass. I don't like it whatsoever." That validated us because that wasn't discussed with him at all, that she actually saw it, felt it, couldn't be in there. I was not quite in the place of understanding how to take care of it. And so she ended up sleeping on a futon on the floor because I wanted her to have a good night's sleep. I wanted her to feel safe. With our own kids, when they start telling us this stuff, it's kind of like you stand back and you're like, I'm not sure what to do with that, how to process that. The nice thing about nowadays is you can find shows, you can find people that are working with kids on empowering them. A big thing for us is working with you and your child on that level as well. My middle one was more in the clouds. She still is, but she's a fantastic psychic artist at her age, which is unbelievable. So at one point in time, we did a remote viewing and we looked into a property with the group we were working with. And it was like 40, 50 miles from our house. So I'm making my notes. Their dad is drawing a sketch. And I said to her, hey, why don't you grab a piece of paper and see if you can here's the front of the house, see if you can see anybody sitting in there and draw. And she pretty much drew exactly what her dad had drawn, which was pretty much the description of what I had written down of the older lady in the home. But it's not something that if she wants to do it, she'll do it. And if not, we don't push her. But for her, she sees it differently, she processes it differently, and she can turn it off very well. So I don't ever really have an issue with her. She likes sleeping out in her room. She likes to have her space. And then our third, so our son, he has a very difficult time sleeping alone. Never's been able to do it. Had night terrors to the point where like his eyes would roll back in his head, and I would have to try and bring him back into that space. The safety part again, I have another one sleeping on the floor. Now, when he stays with us, he sleeps with the pug, the frog, the spirit dog, because it's safety. But he's finally able to start branching out and sleeping in his own room, but still needs to know that something is there to kind of keep him protected. So all three are different. They all have different levels. Our son is very much like Maki, feeling, sensing, and won't allow himself to go any further into that. So yes, it is kind of bizarre when all of a sudden your kids are playing with their pretend friends, and we'll get to what Donna said in a minute, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't think that's a pretend friend.
It just kind of shows it doesn't matter like how woo-woo you are. Your kids may or may not be into it. And you could be somebody that has no interest in any of this. And then you have like a, little junior medium on your hands and you're like, well, what do I do with this? So hopefully you are connected with the right people and have that support system, or at least know how to go about building that support system should you need it. And that's why we don't get to talk about this very much, because we do classes and workshops and a lot of stuff with the grownups, but we do also get to do things with the kids now and again. We have these classes that we do.
I love our kids' classes.
They're so much fun. The last one we did, we had a few more than I'm used to having on. It was all Zoom, of course, because pandemic and keeping safe. And I'm like, there's no way we're going to have 10 kids ranging in age from like 5 to 12 be able to sit still and be into this. And it actually couldn't have gone better. We had a great time. They have, do you want to show them
Yeah,
our children's spirit animal deck?
I love this. So these are by Dr. Stephen D. Farmer, and it's children's spirit animal cards, right? So we're not over here pulling our regular oracle cards. You guys aren't going to see me pulling the dark mirror cards for children. Oh, please. But these are very empowering cards for kids. And it's also to give them another sense of they may not understand what a spirit guide is at that point in time. They may hear you talk about angels if you do talk about them and maybe have figures in your home, but it's those are very bigger than life. And so he made these cards, and I'm just going to share a few of them with you. This one's a ladybug, and it says, notice the little things. And what we do as psychic mediums is then move into the energy of the child. And we ask for more information. He's got descriptions in here, which are beautiful about what the dolphin says. It's cooperate with others. And so we can move into their energy and see that maybe they do have a little bit of a problem with either sharing or wanting to keep everything to themselves and do everything themselves instead of working together as a team. And so we kind of go through the book. We speak directly to the child, but then we send the parents the book pages and the card pictures so the parents can read over it and maybe get a better understanding on a different level of why their child might be in that state that they are at the time. They're positive cards. This one is a coyote, learn from your mistakes. The fox, do secret favors for others. The horse, trust your feelings. I mean, they're just beautiful cards. They have fabulous messages on them. Try something new. And we can tune into kids' energy just as we can adults, just as we can the spirits around them, to give them those messages and to let them feel like, they aren't alone. And the kids love these cards, and the parents could completely resonate with the messages behind them as well. So I love this deck. It's a fantastic, beautiful deck. You don't see too many children's, oracle cards out there.
No, and I don't know. I'm very protective of the kids too. Like sometimes you pull those cards, and if they're not explained properly, not those cards, but regular oracle cards, the kids might, I don't know, freak out. So you got to be careful. That's why I'm super cognizant of only it's keep it light, keep it fun, and they like the energy work. We do certain exercises to help them kind of decipher energy and how to start kind of understanding, okay, that's what it feels like when that kind of energy comes in, that's what it feels like when this. And it's exercises they can do with their siblings, with their parents, and it just kind of gets them to start thinking and feeling. And in some cases they're already feeling, but they don't know what they're feeling, so it's nice to kind of be able to kind of put a name on that, put a label, and get them having fun. And that's the most important thing, is to always take the fear out of it for them if possible, because there's always going to be people who are going to tell them that it's wrong or bad, or they should be scared, and that's not the case if they are properly directioned, really. And you teach them about protecting yourself, and bringing in their angels, and keeping it like a fun, positive experience. And that way it just develops them, and they keep going, and then they are empowered. And so that way, if they do run across things that they're scared of once in a while, they have us, and they have a support system that they've built, and they can come and talk about that, and we can get them through that. But yeah, I love our kids classes.
We'll be starting those back up after the first of the year. We were hoping that the pandemic would end sooner than later, but kids are definitely feeling it more than we are. I mean, if we are being cooped up in our homes, and now we're back at the stay-at-home orders again. I know parents are pulling your hair out. These kids just need to get out and run around. Like even yesterday, we were decorating for the holidays. I was like, I need to take him outside. Like, so we just ended up Pokemon walking around and finding them. And now it's become a family event because it's just, it's a safer way that we can go to a park and put our mask on and walk around. But it also means that we're spending more time inwards, which means that those spirits are around us all the time, and they're not necessarily getting a break from it. So when we come back, we're going to cover different things, regarding to kids about, pretend friends, past lives, pictures with your children. I want you guys to think about this. We have a full moon with a lunar eclipse coming up Monday the 30th, which I believe is next Monday. I can't believe the month's already over. We still have some spots open for our monthly release and intentions Zoom workshop. It's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You get oracle cards drawn. We talk about how to release and how to manifest. The cost is $10. You can message us on Shades of Spirit LLC Facebook page, or you can send us an email from our website. Also, we have a sacred circle the following Saturday, 12/5. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that is our spiritual check-in. We're doing that once a month. It's only $25. If you're looking for guidance, direction, validation, hit us up for that. We have a couple more spots open for that as well. Other than that, we will see you after this break to finish off our Empowering Your Spirity Children. I like spirity children. Everybody, I'm Psychic Medium Jaime,
Spiritwalker Nicole.
Shades of Spirit, discussing different ways that we can work with our children on empowering them through spirit, their spirit connections that they have. Today is a good day to do this because, like I said before we went to break, we are spending a lot of time inwards. And we're hearing from, clients and people that we work with out there that, they're seeing that ramp up in that spirit activity within their own homes, and that it is affecting their children. And they're learning how to now navigate that road, which is something we can definitely do and help you with. So you can always message us if you have questions, looking to get some more information on the classes we offer on that empowerment tool. We're both Reiki masters. I know, congratulations to you and your group. Half of you are listening right now, so congratulations. Our first master group was attuned last weekend. And so we understand the energy component of what's going on around us. And I do think that that is very important for this line of work, is to understand energy. Because when they come in, spirit that is, they are an energetic form, just as we are. They're interacting with our bodies, which is why Maki was able to say, I could feel it and hear it. Its sound is energy, audible, right? And the feeling is energy coming into our own energy field. I loved how he said that he sees through color, and he can see their auras. That's what he's doing around them. He's going to be able to decipher whether that feels like it's good energy or not so good energy. So when we're working with kids and we're putting the energy component in, it's because we want them to understand how to work with it, how to feel what's around. If I played the games that we play with kids, and honestly, I teach a lot of it in our adult classes as well, because it's the same principle on being able to differentiate between a high vibration, a lower vibration, dense vibration versus just that speedy vibration. Also the heat, is it cold? Is it hot? What does it feel like if it's alive or if it's dead? Meaning, we go with earth-based items for that one, plants. Once we can really get into that, and we, again, encourage parents to do this workshop with their kids so that when their kids are talking to them, if you don't buy into it and you're a little bit skeptic as a parent, that's okay. But a lot of times, we're not medical doctors, always get treated, evaluated by a medical professional. But a lot of times what's going on around them is external. It's things we can't see, we can't explain, we don't understand. Not all the time, of course. There's all sorts of things that can happen within our brains and how they need to be processed. But a lot of times too, it's a combination of both. And once they can become empowered in their space and understand this vibration feels very high, very light, I like it, or this vibration doesn't feel so good at all, when they feel that, they can be empowered in their space to say, go away. Spirit has to listen to us. That is kind of that underlining law of where we're at. We are in control. So we can give the kids the power in order to do that and say, you've got to go, get out. You aren't going to hand your kids a bucket of sage and light it on fire and have them sage necessarily, but you guys could pick out certain instants, Palo Santo, dragon's blood, something that they like the smell of, and you guys could have him or her, you could say, okay, where should we put this today? And as long as it's safe, right, and you light it, they know that they're now being proactive in their space, energy-wise. These are just some of the cool little tidbits. I'm just going to back up on that one. Tidbits that we can give you in order for spirit to interact with us safely and for our kids not to be in that fear-based energy. We work with kids one-on-one as well. So we have had a couple of clients who have had us work with their kids one-on-one that allows them not to be afraid. It gives them a safe space so that they can talk freely about what's going on. And I think that's so important, is to have kids be able to ask us questions that maybe their parents don't know the answers to, or, it gives both of them a learning opportunity, but it just gives them the voice that they need to have.
Yeah, it's important. And we create a very safe space and they don't feel judged. And, if they ever start being hesitant, we're like, hello, we built a business on talking to dead people and angels. So really whatever you're about to say, it's fine.
Yep.
And we just help them. And, their parents are usually very nearby and can kind of hear what's going on and stuff. And they learn too. They learn some of the things that maybe their kids have been holding back from them, so they can then, if it's too much for them, we can work with the parents too. Sometimes it's a group effort.
A lot of times it's a group effort,
Yeah.
which, I really like the parents that come in and are like, I'd like to do this with them. Now, sometimes when they're a little bit older and we have the permission, then we will work with the child on a one-on-one base so that they can really just let us know what's going on. Let's not forget, you guys, that our kids also like to protect us. And so they might be holding on to a bunch of stuff because they don't want it to affect their parents. So I want to go through some signs before we wrap up this episode of having a gifted child. Now, number one, in my opinion, in my perspective, and what I know, all of our kids are gifted. Why is that? We were just talking to our producer, Olivia, on break. It's because the ego's gone, right? We come into this world fresh. We come into this world connected. It's society that starts to turn the tables on that. When we start to grow up, we start getting dismissed, like in my own case. Not always. You could have someone like Donna and Maki, where she has been growing it and encouraging it and empowering him since he was, born. But that doesn't always happen. So it's about connecting at that level, knowing that kids are seeing stuff around them. So some of the signs, the first one I want to talk about is pretend friends, like Donna said. I do find that, we do have kids have wild imaginations, but I want you to just listen. I want you to hear what they're saying. I wish I would have really known that as my kids were growing up, because I think that I know that I missed some messages from loved ones coming through. So that's number one.
And then just have them draw what they look like, or whatever it is, and ask them what they're saying. And instead of just, kind of laughing it off, or whatever. Kind of like what Donna said when she was talking about, when she said something that happened. Like sometimes they'll talk about stuff that have happened in the family before they were born in extreme detail. And you're like, how did you know that? Though that kind of thing. And then also when they do give those vivid accounts of like a past life or something, that's a good indicator.
Well, that's the thing too. When your kids start speaking in a way that you're like, that is a big word for someone who's 3, or the way that they start saying it could sound like, something you watched on the movies from like the 1800s. I pay attention to the way that they say it, the phrasing of it. And that really gets us to tune in on that aspect of it. How for you and them to decipher fear is to let them know that they are empowered, that if they want something to go, it goes, that there isn't going to be things around us that aren't for love and light. Can things keep coming in and out? Of course, right? Also know, I want to touch before we end the show today, is kids have spirit teams. They have angels and guides.
Yeah, absolutely. They're no different, if not more so, because as they get older, they don't need as much protection. And so they do have those teams. And if they start talking about different, like a random name or something that's always hanging around, pay attention to that. And as long as they're not scared of it, and it's, sounds like it's on the up and up good, encourage that. And then you can have them take classes, or just kind of get in touch with those spirit guides to kind of develop them further.
And you can call in their spirit guides and their spirit teams as well. It's one of those things to where we can ask them just to come in and protect our kids. I've been putting my kids in bubbles of white light and asking their angels and guides to step in and make sure that they're safe from not only the unseen, but the seen. But we can ask for that to happen because they just don't have the ability to understand that concept yet. We want to thank you guys. We want to thank Donna and Maki. Jump on shadesofspirit.com. We are both offering a 1-hour reading individually for $88, or you can do a reading with both of us to hit all the realms and levels for $150. You can book on shadesofspirit.com. We appreciate you all. Hope you all have a great holiday this week, and we will see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.